Morning. How you guys doing today? So in Richmond, Virginia, actually going to speak today at Jim Ingersoll's event. Pretty excited. Going to be talking about being a landlord while working as a full-time employee. Going to really focus on helping people getting started. Trying to set a goal of getting to 4. It should be a pretty good 45 minutes to an hour. But before I do that, I want to record a video for the channel. This one came from a subscriber, so it's a subscriber question. Again, remember, if you have questions, just leave them in any comment below any video. I am a one-man show. I try to capture those comments every day and then produce a video hopefully within 48 hours of leaving that comment. I'm not always successful, but that's certainly what I try for. So today's question came in yesterday. It was about Section 8. There was a bunch of sort of questions. It was like, do you use it? What part of your portfolio is Section 8? What do you think about it? How do you screen tenants? Things of that nature. So I thought I'd just rattle off my thoughts. First, if you don't know what Section 8 is, some people call it housing assistant. It's basically, it's a program that I believe was created in the Depression. It is a federal program. It subsidizes the rent. It can bring in, as little as, $20, $30, $50 to paying 100% of somebody's rent. It is a program that I accept in most, if not all, of my units. I actually can't think of any off the top of my head that I would not allow, so I do accept it. The other thing is, why? And Section 8 is one of those programs that people kind of, I think, maybe don't understand all the time. They think it is full of drug addicts. They think it's full of problem tenants. And having had Section 8 tenants for all of my landlording, I can tell you that's anything but the case. Section 8 has requirements not only of the landlord, but of the tenant. Not to mention, in my case, of the property manager. So let me explain. So, for example, all the Section 8, every year, the Section 8 program gets reviewed, right? The tenant, the property, all of that. And that is something I really value, right? So what I mean by that, so let's say I've had a tenant in my property for a year. I've had no problems. Rent showed up all the time. Then Section 8 goes out and finds, 5 little things that I need to fix. Some owners get upset by that, because it's $250 that they feel like they don't have to expend. Nobody's been complaining. They want all that cash flow, all that stuff. So that's not how I look at it. So it does depend on how you look at it. I look at that yearly checkup as a check of my property manager. If it's not clear, I trust my property management team explicitly, but it never hurts to have an independent, second party go through and see how the unit's doing, right? So I enjoy finding that out. I've never really found anything really wrong, but I could. The other thing that's interesting about these reports is it often calls out things for the tenants to do, right? Some of the repairs are tenant responsibilities, and they're monitoring the tenant, because tenants can be kicked out of the program. And as you can imagine, that's the last thing they want. So I have found that tenants in the program, for the most part, do what they can. Over the years, I've had 1 or 2 bad apples in the program out of hundreds of tenants. Just by comparison, most of my real problems are not from the Section 8 program. When I have really bad damage or people getting nasty or whatever, it's because they're not Section 8 tenants, because there's too much for them to lose, right? So I want that to be pretty clear, right? I'm a huge fan of the Section 8 program. I like what they do. I think it's a good thing. I've seen it help people. So I get, it's something that I fully support, frankly. And I rent some of my units for less than I could on the market because I'm such a believer in the program. The other thing, as a landlord, your money shows up. It shows up usually before the first, at least the government portion, right? The subsidized portion shows up. The tenant portion, again, because they want to stay in the program, they don't want to get evicted, so their portion shows up most of the time. So again, I think it's a program that's pretty valuable. How do you review or inspect the tenants? I don't treat them any differently. I don't think you should either. I don't think they come in with some kind of 8 on their forehead or something of that nature. Tenant's a tenant. And I'm sure, they value it that you treat them the same as everyone else. So in the end, I get it. I hear it all the time. Some people are fans, some people aren't. I'm a fan. I would think 30% of my portfolio at least is Section 8. Might be more. I've never actually looked. Because again, I look at rental amounts. I don't look at who's paying me, right? So, again, I think it's a pretty good program. I support it. There are obviously some houses that don't qualify, right? If it's a super nice area and you're asking for, I don't know, in my area, $2,000, $3,000, Section 8 caps out, right? There's a limit to how much they can pay. So there's some properties that you may have purchased that simply won't fit in the program. But again, that's okay, right? I mean, there's all different types, right, and different places to rent. So in the end, I would tell you to at least look at it, understand it. I have found it to be beneficial for lots of reasons, not only when the money shows up, but I really like those yearly inspections. And I really like the fact that tenants have something to lose. If you're just a cash paying tenant, right, they have a deposit to lose. A Section 8 tenant has so much more to lose, and thus I have found that they are, on average, better tenants. So I hope that helps. Hope that answers the question. Have a great day. And if you're at the event, say hi.